Welcome on in, Dragon Folk. It is such a pleasure to see you all here. Today, I'm actually going to be talking about somebody else's video because I don't normally do reaction content in a way, and I'm not going to go ahead and just play the video here for you because I want you to go watch the actual video. But for you Clash heads out there, just like myself, there is a new interview that Fluke did with James White. You can always go ahead and check that out on his channel over there. Something like James White Mistvale Edition. That's what he ended up calling it. And it is a really, really awesome interview. It talks a lot about the stuff that LSS has gone through in this previous couple of months, where the lore has been for heavy hitters, where all these other things are occurring. All the, updates. Obviously, Fluke always wants to know an update on PvE, and it's a great interview. I always love when Fluke ends up interviewing James White because we get the not always the hard-hitting questions because, you don't want to just pester James with the exact same questions that he hears probably every single second on Twitter. But it's really nice to see that there was a question asked that I wasn't aware of. I wasn't sure who asked this question or, if it was, because I certainly didn't, and I don't know that, Nathan or anybody on the committee did. Something that was asked for James was what he thought about fan-made formats. And this was really, really awesome because this was brought up that Commoner, the official, low tier format for Flesh and Blood, was originally a fan-made format, and it got brought onto the roster as an official format later on. They were kind of wondering whether or not something like that was going to happen with Clash. Fluke had asked about Clash, and if this is something that they might see later on in the days, because kind of asking how he feels about the fan-made formats. And James White responded with the fact that he was very excited that other people are using the base of their game that they make to play however they wish, right? Whether it be a fan-made format or it be officially in a official sanctioned format, you're able to do something like that. But he did also respond with the fact that they were not looking to adopt any new formats anytime soon. They have a lot of different development going on with several draftable sets and making sure that's all said and done, making sure the power level is okay for the rest of their game and their official formats. So I'm assuming their opportunity to adopt a new format is probably not in the works. And I think that's also fine. We at the Clash committee, I don't know, James, I hear you're, if your wife ends up watching this, or if Fluke ends up watching this, or James, even if yourself ends up watching this, we're totally down to talk discussions, but I think a lot of people who have talked about Clash kind of want to keep it almost fan-made, or at least fan-run, I should say, more specifically. We're obviously brand new to the scene in a way that we're finally making headway into getting content out there for the format. So as more and more support comes through and we get more and more people interested in the format, obviously, you know where to find us. But something that they brought up is the fact that if the format does become increasingly popular, they very well could see it becoming something like a side event at a pro tour or some other, organized play event. And I think even at that point, that's super cool, right? It's super awesome to have it be able to just be a side event for fun, because that's what we want in Clash. Is we want it to mainly just be for fun and have that be like a big stepping point into the game with just fun and a decent power level, and then you can grow from there, or you can shrink from there and go down to commoner, right? Either or, but we want people to have fun with it. And then of course Fluke even states that he does not really seem very interested in commoner due to its lower power level, which seems to be that he's heard a lot of feedback from Clash, and a lot of people from the commoner, side of things tend to have a more, regular entry level concept of it. It's still very intricate to build a commoner deck, but Clash does provide a little bit of a higher power level, a higher ceiling in regards to that. And I believe that a lot of people do, when they want to make that change, they don't have to make too significant of a change, because they're still just adding other bulk cards and then some specializations to their deck to now make it a more powerful commoner deck. But of course, I think the biggest takeaway from this news is that James White and the dev team are keeping their eye on Clash. It is something, fan-made formats are something that really help drive a TCG to expand further than it's just one level, right? You know, a lot of people have told me that their own personal gripe with Flesh and Blood is that even at the armory level, it's too sweaty. There's too many people there who are diving deep into their decks, and they're doing hardcore testing, and they're prepping for ProQuest, and they're doing all this other stuff, and it's too sweaty for somebody who's brand new to the game to come in and say, hey, I'd like to play with you guys. You know, what do I need to do? And luckily, the armory decks now exist, which is great. Really helps bridge that gap by, instead of having to go, yeah, you have to spend like $400 to get a pretty decent deck, and then you might win into some heroes depending on which ones you choose, and then your hero might living legend, right, to do something different. I believe that the quicker that we get some kind of very specific, casual, fun entry level concept into Flesh and Blood, that's less about the competitive nature and more about just like sitting down and testing out heroes and seeing how they play and really getting a feel for them. Because I could tell you what a Shadow Runeblade does, but you won't know what a Shadow Runeblade does until you play one. You know, I could tell you what a Draconic Ninja does, but you're not going to understand the play lines until you are playing Draconic Ninja. So it is really important to note that we still want to support in-person play, right? Kind of get that through and really just make sure that people are understanding the concept of the heroes. There's tons of young heroes available. Just recently with Enigma New Moon and with Blaze Firemind, 2 new young heroes are now entering the Clash format, along with, I'm sure, several other as the year go on. I know something that is that was said that I'm sure we're not going to see is that some of the Classic Constructed precons are actually going to introduce new heroes that have not been released. They're going to be specific towards those. During this interview, James does say something along those lines. So we might not see those heroes, but any new young heroes that come out in a set or however they're achieved, those are all legal in Clash. And so we have a very large evergreen ceiling of no living legend system. We're able to just kind of make it happen. And we're very, very excited to kind of show our support for the game, because we do really love the game. And it's not that we hate playing it at a highly competitive level. We just kind of enjoy a nice casual game of Flesh and Blood with no real high stakes. And we just kind of play around and have fun and choose the heroes we like. And I think this is also why there's a lot of hype towards PvE. PvE, while not currently an official format run by LSS, this was also asked during the interview, and I'm not trying to push that on LSS, but there are several different communities, several different producers who have already essentially made the PvE experience for Flesh and Blood in a smaller scale, and it's starting to go pretty well for them. So who knows, right? I think what James White says about, you know, fan-made formats is really true. It's great to utilize the game in its base way, as in any way you possibly want. You know, I could go make a whole map series for Flesh and Blood and create a dungeon crawl kind of game for PvE, and if there's support for it, awesome, right? But in the end of the day, using their cards as a base to then, you know, use the theater of mind to kind of make your own scenarios and play a game a different way, I think is pretty important. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I was very, very happy to hear this, and I'm hoping that, you know, there's more collaborations in the future, that James and the dev team can, you know, feel free to reach out to any of us. If any of them are watching this, feel free to reach out to me through my email, or you can find me on Twitter. And, you know, I'd love to chit chat with you guys and get like your general ideas on the format, where you as developers might end up actually changing things around if need be. But I do believe that we at the committee we're doing our best to make sure it's just a fun, enjoyable environment. And I believe that the players that we have playing with us are saying the same thing. I haven't heard a single real negative thing outside of how we've structured our Clash Bash, which is all in testing. We're changing things around as we go to see if we can please more of the masses. And I believe we're going to see some pretty significant success as we move forward into this Parthemis fail season. So again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you have not already. And you can also, if you want to, become a channel member. We do have channel member only videos here for you guys. So if there is a channel member only video you wanted to check out, it's going to be there. You have to be a channel member to watch it. It's usually market stuff or anything of these sorts. And then we go on from there. But no need, right? It's not like it's a must. It certainly helps out the channel a lot, but even just to subscribe is perfectly awesome. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day and continue having fun in the flesh and blood. And I'll see you all very soon. Nerd out.